What's up, guys? We got some crazy stuff to talk about this week. Google just said they're spending $9 billion right here in Virginia, and there's talk that IndyCar might race through downtown DC. How cool is that? And I've also got the real numbers on what's going on for the home prices here in Northern Virginia for the fall. Let's get into it. All right, let me start with the biggest story because this one is huge. Google said they're putting another $9 billion into Virginia through 2026. We're talking about cloud stuff, AI data centers, and the whole thing. They're building a new data center in Chesterfield County. And here's the part that's really stood out. They're spending $1 billion just to train people here in Virginia for AI jobs. Every college student in Virginia gets free access to Google's AI Pro plan for a year. University of Virginia, Brightpoint Community College, Northern Virginia Community College, they're all part of this AI program. And speaking of big investments, I'll share the priciest way race cars might hit downtown DC coming up. Now, here's why it matters. If you own a home and you're thinking about buying, when a tech giant moves in like this, real estate always follows. I've been telling clients for months to look south towards Richmond and Chesterfield County, just turned into one of the hottest markets in the state overnight. But this only isn't about jobs either. Google's rolling out something called Virginia Has Jobs, AI Career Launchpad. They're building an entire pipeline of workers here. So when a company with this kind of money invests in local talent, property values don't just stay flat, they go up. And the timing makes sense. Virginia already has all the data centers. We've got the infrastructure. And now Google's saying they want to make this the AI capital of the East Coast here in Northern Virginia. And if you've been waiting on the sidelines about areas south of NoVa, this news just flipped the whole game. Now, speaking of AI changing the game, wait until you hear what's going to happen with education right here in Chantilly. But before we jump into that, if you want updates like really happening here in Northern Virginia and how it affects you, hit that subscribe button. I go after the best stories I can find just for you, and subscribing helps me keep going. So definitely smash that subscribe button. Okay, so this is either brilliant or totally insane, and honestly, I can't tell which. Alpha School is opening in Chantilly this fall at the old Guidepost Monastery spot on Walney Road. It's for kindergarten through 5th grade, and get ready for this. Tuition is $65,000 a year. That's not a mistake, $65,000 just for elementary school. Here's how it works. Kids spend 2 hours in the morning with AI guided tours and the rest of the day on things like business projects, public speaking, and outdoor activities. They don't have teachers, they have guides who use AI to track progress and run small group sessions. The school says their students score in the top 1 to 2% on tests, and 90% of kids say they actually like going to the school. And if 65 grand seems wild to you, wait until you see this fall's luxury home prices in a bit. Some numbers might actually shock you. Now, from a housing angle, this shows you the kind of money moving into Northern Virginia. Chantilly is already pricey, right? When families drop 65 grand a year on kindergarten, that's serious wealth moving in. And this isn't another private school. This is what happens when tech money mixes with education, and it's wild to see right here in Northern Virginia. I mean, $65,000 is a down payment on a house in most of Virginia, but if the test scores are real and kids are learning real world skills, maybe this is the future of schooling. The location definitely makes sense to Chantilly, right in the middle of the government contractors and tech money. Whether you think it's worth it or not, schools like this definitely push property values higher in the area, but if expensive schools aren't your thing, here's something the whole family can actually afford to enjoy. So Urban Air just opened a huge adventure park in Gainesville at Somerset Crossing. It's 49,000 square feet of trampolines, climbing walls, ninja courses, laser tags, zip lines, all of it. The owner already runs a Woodbridge spot and a bunch of learning experience daycare, so he knows the area and he knows what families want. But here's what I really like about the story. The owner picked Gainesville on purpose because so many young families are moving out there. And he's right, I've been showing homes in Western Prince William County for years, and the top question I always get is, what's there to do with kids? And now there's a clear answer that matters for housing, because things like this drive demand. Young families want convenience, they want stuff for their kids, and they want reasons to stay in the neighborhood. Somerset Crossing is turning into a new hub for the whole stretch, and places like Urban Air are what make a suburb feel like a real destination. The marketing director, Jalissa Henderson, came over from Sky Zone in Manassas, and she's already teaming up with schools for PTO nights and working with local sports teams. That's smart. It's the kind of thing that makes neighborhoods more appealing over time. I've had buyers flat out ask about stuff like this when they're house hunting. Now Gainesville can check that box. All right, but speaking of things that could bring even more people to the area, you're not going to believe what might be heading to downtown DC. Okay, so this is just a rumor, but if this happens, it could be huge for the whole region. So IndyCar is in early talks about doing a Washington, D.C. street race in 2026. The timing would line up with America's 250th birthday, which honestly feels perfect. Fox Corporation just bought a 33% stake in IndyCar, and they want bigger, high-profile events. A race to the Capitol will definitely count. Now, racing fans don't all agree. Some want only oval tracks, others like street courses, but from a business angle, this could be massive. Think about hotel rooms getting booked, restaurants packed, and tourism dollars coming into the whole DMV during race weekend. And I've seen what big events can do for local economies. The tricky part is definitely going to be the traffic. DC is already rough on a normal day. I think with roads closed for IndyCar, it's going to be even more brutal. But 2026, America's 250th birthday, racing through the Capitol, the marketing pretty much writes itself. And if this really happens, it's the kind of event that puts the region on a bigger stage, and that usually means more people wanting to live here. We'll see if they can actually pull this off. I mean, just the fact they're talking about it shows how serious IndyCar is about growing in new places. And hey, look, Mayor Bowser has said many times she wants Washington, D.C. to be the sports capital of the world. All right, so everyone, let's talk about what everyone actually asks me about when they see me out and about, which is real estate. What is happening with home prices and sales this fall? All right, so here's the deal. The market feels really different than it did in 2020 to 2022, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Inventory has grown, homes are sitting longer, and buyers have more power to negotiate than they've had in years. But here's the interesting part. The market isn't the same everywhere anymore. Luxury homes over $1 million are sitting longer, especially if they need updates. Buyers at that price are picky, and higher interest rates are keeping some of them on the sidelines. Starter homes and townhomes under $700,000, those are still selling fast. Multiple offers, quick sales, the whole thing, waived inspections. Move-in ready homes are getting snapped up no matter the price. Places like Gainesville, Bristol, Haymarket, Manassas, Ashburn, Loudoun County, pretty much, with good schools, reasonable commutes, and tons of family amenities like urban air, they are also selling really quickly. The big difference now is strategy. You can't just put a house on the market and expect a bidding war anymore. For buyers though, that is actually good news. More time to think, more choices, and better chances to negotiate. Some buyers are now getting $15,000 off the asking price, plus closing costs covered on homes that they would have had to have 10 offers on 2 years ago, right? Like, so you can get closing costs paid. You can get away with putting down 1%. There's all kinds of different programs, and the rates were at 7. Now they're about to be around 6, 5.99, which is actually really good. So the market's finding its balance, and honestly, the healthier for everyone in the long run is a good thing in my opinion. All right, guys, that's what's happening in Northern Virginia this week. What do you think? Are you ready for AI to take over your school? Planning to check out the new adventure park? Do you think IndyCar in DC is genius or a traffic nightmare? Drop a comment, tell me which story grabbed your attention the most. And hey, if you're thinking about making a move, buying your first place, selling to upgrade, or just figuring out the market shift as real, send me a message. I'd love to help you see what's going on out there. You can email me anytime, info@colganteam.com. Text me anytime. I put my number right here. People text me all the time about real estate questions and advice. I love working with buyers and sellers. And also make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. This is a new channel all about Northern Virginia and breaking news. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Comment below where you're watching from, and I'll see you guys at the top or from the top.